introduce our keynote presenter today, Debra Jensen. Debra is an assistant professor of journalism and communication at Utah State University. She has a PhD in communication from the University of Utah and a bachelor's of science degree in political science from Weber State. Her work focuses on narratives of social justice and public policy and representation in popular culture. It's a mouthful. Dr. Jensen has worked professionally with Special Olympics Utah and other organizations advocating for people with disabilities. Her work also includes narratives around religious feminism and the American environmental movement. She's a regular contributor on Comic-Con panels, which is how I heard about her, because Amy heard her at Comic-Con and said, "You've got to call her and ask her to speak." And she discusses diversity and the media we consume. In October, she was a speaker at TEDx at Utah State University. She's also a member of the Executive Board of Ordained Women, working to bring gender equality in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. She spends her spare time biking, swimming, and running, cheering for her 3 kids at soccer games, and leading a Girl Scout troop in Ogden. I love the Girl Scouts. So please welcome Debra Jensen.
I thought, oh, I know just what I'm going to talk about. I'm so excited because I've been dying for a place to talk about my love for Mighty Thor, Jane Foster. She's my favorite. Anyway, and so this is kind of going to be a combination of a little bit of my TED Talk that I gave about a month ago, because that was about diversity in popular culture and why that's important and how we should support it. But I'm then going to just radically veer into why Mighty Thor is super cool and how you can find examples of the divine feminine in popular culture and maybe ways to find your own sacred experience in whatever popular culture speaks to you or whatever you like. So it's going to be a roller coaster ride. So I'm going to start just by sharing a little bit of the background of what brought me to this. So I am a geek, and I'm very proud of that, and I've always liked being a geek. But as a little kid, I just didn't really see myself in the popular culture. I was a chubby nerd, and there just weren't a lot of role models for me as a girl in the 1980s. And I always tell people, like, I like Wonder Woman and Princess Leia, but you don't really, when you're shaped like R2-D2, you wear these kinds of costumes, right? And then, as I got a little bit older, we got She-Ra and Jem, and you had to have fabulous hair. They were like Disney princesses. It was just false expectations of what my hair was going to do ever in my life. Today, I have 3 kids. I have a son who's 18, and I have 2 girls who are 14 and 11. Is that right? Yeah, 14 and 11. They just have birthdays. I'm a terrible mother, but also it's hard to remember when they change ages so quickly. I'm very excited about this environment that my kids grow up in, both my son and my daughters, because they experience a much more open and inclusive community of geeks and popular culture, and that is something that we should be celebrating, and I would assume that most of you celebrate that, so I'm preaching to the choir here. So comic book writer Steve Orlando has called comic books the place where everyone gets to have their own hero, where you get to create your own personal folklore. And Ta-Nehisi Coates has called comic books Western mythologies. And I think that's true. This is where we learn a whole lot about who we are and what we value. And that's all great, but you have to ask yourself, what happens when, historically, the heroes of those myths have been white, cisgender men? I want you to imagine comic book superheroes as we know them. Think Steve Rogers, Tony Stark, Peter Parker, Clark Kent from a friend in the back. I'm a Marvel lady, but my friend just loves the DC, so I include them for her. Got terrible taste in comics. Bruce Wayne. Barry Allen. I'm also I usually speak very openly about bullying people in geek communities, even though I'm not supposed to. So what happens when the heroes in these myths don't look like you, or when you don't see yourself in these very white, very male, very straight, cisgender faces? It can be frustrating. And one of the things that's happened recently is we have seen increasingly women, LGBTQIA people, people of color, people with disabilities, we are seeing them in the popular culture, not just as niche characters. And I'd like to review, we have had some very cool niche characters, okay? Like Black Panther in the 1960s became the first Black comic book superhero to have his own book. That was a huge deal, and Black Panther's coming back, and he's coming back with like a ferocity that I love, and just can't wait. I have the book right now. I'm so excited, I love everything about it. I want to marry it 1,000 times. We had Monica Rambeau, who was our first, not our first, but she's our forgotten Captain Marvel. She's a woman of color who never led her own book, but she's a very powerful, iconic figure. But we kind of had to look for her she was off in the corner, even though she was supposed to be leading the battle. And then in the early 2000s, a member of the X-Men, North Star, became the first openly gay comic book character in mainstream comics. And he got married on the cover of an issue in 2012, I believe. That is very cool. Okay, so this is exciting. But what we've seen, what has been traditionally the idea was we would create new niche comic book characters and say, look, all right, ladies, there's your girl, quit complaining, right? And what we've seen now is something new, which is the faces of our comic book characters, the famous, iconic people that we know and love, right? Spider-Man. Beneath the mask is Miles Morales. And Miles Morales is a multiracial teenager from Brooklyn. That's important. And I want you to imagine being a teenage boy and seeing this moment when Miles Morales gets to say, I am Spider-Man. Or think about what it felt like to little boys and men around the country when Sam Wilson, a person of color, took up the mantle of Captain America. The most American of all superheroes now looks like these men and boys, and they get to now imagine themselves as the hero. And I don't really have any way to relate to those experiences. I am, as you can probably very clearly tell, not a boy. I did not grow up. I've always identified as a woman, and I'm very happy with that life choice or life situation. So I don't really relate to these experiences as much as I do, and here's my superhero pun, I always use this. I can speak more authoritatively on this moment. It has to happen, you guys. If you talk about comic books, you either have to have a pal, or you have to have a comic book pun. So, in 2015, we met Mighty Thor. And I rushed to my local comic book store because I was desperate to have this moment. I wanted to see a woman, we jokingly call her Lady Thor, right? It's like, oh, Lady Thor, give me a little Lady Thor, right? A woman was wielding Mjolnir. She was leading people into battle. She was a god, and had taken, not just had become a goddess herself, but had taken up the power that had traditionally been created for and wielded by a man. And this is where we're going to get into a little bit of my churchy history, right? I thought this would just be a comic book that my daughters and I would enjoy together, and that I would force my son to read so that he could appreciate strong, powerful women. And it did turn out to be that, but additionally, it became something that as I read it, I thought, oh my gosh, I really relate to this goddess who is super powerful, and I'm not nearly as ripped as she is. I'm very much motivated to someday go to the gym and lift weights. As a woman growing up in a patriarchal religion, okay, I am the product of a Catholic father and a Mormon mother. Right? Come on, yeah. And when I became a teenager, Mormonism is what spoke to me, right? That is the faith community that I found appealing. I really loved the idea of the individual worth of a person. I loved the idea that I had this divine calling and that I had heavenly parents, a mother and a father, you know, a divine male and a divine feminine, who were speaking to me and knew me as a person and sent me here to do a thing, right? Loved that. And as a teenager, when I started going to Mormon church, I was like, this is the place for me, and this is a place where my feminism that I've always felt and been very vocal about, they're going to let me be that person. And he just giggles. And this was the late 80s, early 90s, and I really do, honestly, I look back on it and I read my journals, because I still have them, and I don't feel like I was misguided there, okay? I don't feel like I was tricked into anything. I still find that there, but as a religious woman, one of the growing up and becoming not just a religious feminist teenager, but growing up and becoming a woman and experiencing new rites and rituals in my faith, marrying, becoming a mother, certain patriarchal aspects began to be very glaringly obvious to me in ways that they were not before. And that was what I was seeing play out often in Mighty Thor. So today I want to talk about some of the fun ways that Mighty Thor kind of presents this patriarchal nature that we see in a lot of our faiths, and ways that she addresses them, plays with them, pushes back, and sometimes hits them in the face with a hammer. So, one of the first things that I loved about Mighty Thor was the narrative starts with this debate around Odin and Freya and who gets to wield power. And one of the first things that she does is Freya pushes back on Odin and says, you do not get to, just because it's always been a patriarchy, doesn't mean it will always be a patriarchy. And I think it's an important lesson for us to be showing kids who are reading comic books. And it leads to a literal religious war between these two people. And where we see this kind of play out is in, we discover that Freya is on the side of this Mighty Thor, this new woman that Odin does not trust. Odin believes that the power that she is wielding, that Mjolnir is now answering to her, and that makes her a fraud. And challenges her challenges the new Thor and calls herself girl, or calls her girl. So this is another thing, right? So as I'm watching this, I'm like, oh gosh, we've always had this conversation about, well, it's always been, patriarchy's the way it's always been, so how could we possibly do anything else? And then the next thing that I related to is this idea that this infantilization of women, where anyone who fights against Mighty Thor, almost always challenges her adultness, right? And calls her girl, or calls her little one, or it's a way that, excuse me, it's one of the things that I really spoke to me because I have felt this, right? From, I see big eyes, I cannot. And again, I come from a very Mormon place with this, because it's where I've been for the last 25 years in my life, and many of you might be familiar with the phenomenon of primary voice, and this idea that women should speak softly and with a sing-song voice, and that we work with children, and the women's any girl aged 8 and up, as though a young girl who's 9 has the same interests and concerns and can be challenged in the same way theologically as a woman in her 40s. Troubling. it's a troubling idea that we see popular culture pushing back on. And again, it's another reason that I thought, oh my gosh, I just love this comic book so much. Next, you just kind of, she like literally throws a rock at the picture. A really big rock here, it's like a tiny planet, okay? And this is the next question that gets addressed here, which is the question of worthiness and who gets to have power and who gets to have authority. And we see this everywhere in our, I'm a political science person too, so we see this in politics, right? Who is worthy, who is ethical enough? We just saw this happen over the last year and a half, and what a shocking surprise we've experienced over the last 10 days, that questions of ethics are often, and worthiness are often thrown much harder and in much harsher ways at women than at men. And so as I was reading this, I was like, oh my gosh, this is literally the conversation I have with people all the time about priesthood in Mormonism. Is like, who's worthy enough to hold priesthood? And any male who reaches the age of 12 has to answer a few questions, and there he goes. But any woman who seeks this power is automatically unworthy for it. And Mighty Thor, Jane Foster, is fighting this. Thor doesn't believe he could ever possibly not be worthy to wield the hammer. And we see that inner monologue and battle happen with him. Odin doesn't believe that any hammer that he ever created that is powerful could be wielded by a woman. So it doesn't matter to him who's beneath the mask, it matters to him that it's a woman and not a man. And Mighty Thor, Jane Foster, says, it doesn't matter who I am, the hammer chose me, I'm called to this. And I think we can see that in women in the Catholic Church fighting for their chance to be deaconesses and be priests and have institutional and ecclesiastical authority. We see this in Mormonism with women saying, I feel called to administer to people and not being allowed to. And we see this in everyday society with women in politics saying, I can be a leader, and not necessarily always being chosen by the Electoral College. It's fine, you guys, it's gonna be fine. All right, so this is the part where we get to the divine, and I love it so much. One of my favorite images ever is of this woman with muscular arms raising up this hammer, calling down the power of thunder and lightning as a god, and saying, I am this person. She uses her divine authority to show leadership in battle. That's one of my favorite frames, because the conversation about whether or not she's a good leader immediately devolves into whether or not she's hot. And it's two women having this conversation about her. I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right. But she battles with the Avengers, and even eventually Thor follows her into battle, which is an important, again, idea and visual image for young women to see. Some of the things that I think speak to the struggle that women have with divinity and the divine feminine are that, first of all, we learn that Mighty Thor is Jane Foster. And she's a fairly familiar face for most people who like DC or Marvel comics and know Thor. But Jane Foster is battling cancer and is dying. And in order to wield her power, she has to risk her life. She sacrifices her health. And this is something that I think speaks very clearly to women who are often challenged. We are often expected to, without anybody actually saying it, sacrifice our own mental health, our own physical health, our own social well-being in order to fulfill certain roles. And yet in this moment, she is sacrificing it so that she can fulfill this divine calling. I just really like the one in the middle because she's in the middle of a battle and continues to get up and refuses to be knocked down. And even when she's told no by the actual God, she says, actually, you don't get to make this decision. Refuses to accept that no. And that's something that we get a lot of times in Mormon feminism. What if the answer is no? We ask again, right? Because the answer here may be no right now at this moment, but I will not accept inequality as the final answer, right? And then the last one is where she insists to be called and recognized as the goddess that she is. Right, the name calling, someone called her a wench, and she says, actually, it's goddess. And I think this was the moment where I thought, okay, comic books actually can teach you to be something better, okay? And Mighty Thor Jane Foster refuses to be diminished by anyone, and knows what her goal is, knows what her role should be, and plays it regardless of how anyone else around her feels about it. Which is something I think women and men can learn from, but women especially, this divine idea of we get to have this power and we will choose how to wield it, and institutionally I don't really care what you say. Might be something we should look into. So this is just one of my favorite frames because it makes me giggle every time, because if I had a nickel for every time somebody told me as a feminist I was running things, I would have a lot of nickels. One of my favorite things, a podcast that I absolutely love is Harry Potter and the Sacred Texts. Is anybody familiar with this? Absolutely, you gotta look this up, okay? So it's a podcast hosted by 2 divinity school graduates, and they basically have a reading club where every week they read a chapter from Harry Potter, right? We're like 4 chapters into book 2, and every week they have a theme. We read it through this lens. So in book 1, the Mirror of Erised chapter is read through the lens of white privilege, and the idea that certain people get to move through the world invisibly, and that we get to see things and imagine ourselves as things, okay? So this podcast is all based on the idea that anything that speaks to you, whether it's Harry Potter, whether it's Mighty Thor, Jane Foster, whether it's the Bible or the Quran, you can read this as a sacred text, okay? And they do this thing with called Lectio Divina. And I don't know if anybody's familiar with it. It was new to me. I'm not a theologian. It's the idea that we read something from this text and we let go of our own agenda and we approach it at 4 different levels, okay? So we first read it literally. What is actually happening in this story at this moment? And then the second step is we read it allegorically. What is happening symbolically, okay? And then the third would be, what is it reminding me of in my life? Like, what immediate memory is jolted here? And then the last step is, what am I being called to do by this specific line? And I brought my last issue of Mighty Thor Jane Foster, but we can just use this one. You can do this with anything. We do this with Harry Potter, and so every time they're like, well, this is a hard line, I don't know if we can make this work. But we can do this with anything and find meaning in it. So if we were to engage in this practice with this frame right here, and the line, and you just choose this randomly, just, right? When I was a teenager, and also in my 20s and 30s, then I would read the Book of Mormon at night. Sometimes I could not hack a whole chapter, and I would just like, I'll just pick a verse randomly, and that will count as my scripture reading, and then I can go to sleep and not feel guilty. So you can do the same thing here. And so if we were to look at this, and the line would be, are you kidding me? I'm supposed to call you Thor, or we could go down feminist, ruining everything, either one. We could ask ourselves, what's happening literally here, right? We see this person fighting this woman and pushing back on her assertion of authority, right? What's happening allegorically or symbolically? This effort at diminishing her by, I'm supposed to call you Thor, refusing to call her by the name she's claimed. And we can see this in its Transgender Remembrance Day, right? Misgendering people or dead naming them, right? Like those are the things that might be jogging your memory. But it's this idea that when we challenge a power structure, one of the first things they do is try to diminish us and refuse to acknowledge or call us what we are, or what we claim to be. So what does this remind me of in my life? Well, for me, when I read this, literally it reminded me of every time someone has come onto my Twitter feed and said, your feminist agenda is ruining my life, right? It reminded me of a very specific moment when somebody said that what I had said at church had driven people away from my faith, which broke my heart. I firmly believe it's not true, but somebody said that to me. And what is it calling you to do? So what's the call to action here? For me, because I'm an angry feminist who's grown angrier over the last 10 days, as though my husband was like, I did not think that could happen. Like, I accept this as a personal challenge. I will literally ruin everything if that's what it takes, right? So my call to action is, okay, you think I've ruined things before? Just you wait, right? Also, I did post on Twitter, like, I'm gonna go walk the day after the election. My daughter and I just watched a whole lot of Parks and Rec because we needed to see a strong, powerful woman inspiring us, and we were treating ourselves. And I posted something like, I'm leaving Twitter, I'm leaving Facebook for right now, you guys go about your business. And I said, but just be aware that this election is a defining moment for my daughter, and she is angry. Patriarchy and white supremacy, be warned, right? And somebody said, well, that's a threat, and I was like, yes, it absolutely is. So, I think I went a little bit over, I'm sorry, but I wanted to end with that because Mighty Thor may not be the thing that speaks to you, and I get that, DC people. Comic books may not be the thing that speaks to you, but finding your divine whatever, if it's the divine feminine, if it's the divine social justice activist, finding the piece of work that speaks to you and then approaching it as something sacred is where we find our power. And now I'm supposed to take questions, right? Yes. Okay. Yes.
Hi, I'm amazed. I really appreciate this talk, and I'm really impressed with you. One thing that has come to me this time of my life is that, and you're a good example of it, is that you're very feminine, but you're strong. See, there's being strong and being a feminine woman, and then taking your place and having power without having to act like a guy. It seems like in the last election, it seemed like a little bit more, Hillary kind of like had to be like a guy, kind of act kind of powerful and manly almost, and you're wonderfully powerful in your femininity.
You're actually one of the first people who's ever said that. and I mean it, the femininity part. So that's an interesting observation.
All your gestures are feminine and wonderful. I'm a handyman for one lady I work for a lot. She's super sweet, and she's just as nice as can be, and she's feminine incredibly, but she gets her way, and she's really good to work for. But you know she's going to get her way.
I like her already.
No, but I like her a lot, and I like working for her. I like working for her a lot. The fact that she's got this feminine wiles that I really appreciate. She's not trying to seduce me or anything like that. I'm 40 years older than her, so I don't think. But anyway, it's a new enlightenment for me to see strong women that are feminine. They still have a feminine quality. They don't have to turn into a guy to become strong and feminine. That's my point.
Yeah, I think, so I'm not kidding when I say, one of the most common things people say to me is, well, she has look at her haircut, listen to the way she talks, right? I have a very deep voice for a woman. A lot of people, and especially in Utah, people are like, children are afraid of me, and I prefer it that way. But it is an interesting, I remember growing up as a kid, if you wanted to be seen as tough, you had to be a tomboy. There was no way to be tough and be a girl in a dress. And I think we've changed that. I hope that we've changed that. And I think that's wrapped up in sexism, misogyny, it's wrapped up in homophobia, and I think we're changing that. I would like it if we would change it and not take 3 steps backwards, but I think we're getting there. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say I used to work for Hewlett Packard, and my boss's boss would call women powerful. And we had bring your daughters to work day. I took my 2 daughters. It was a wonderful thing. But, the question is, bringing this to the church, I always find it really interesting when the world takes the moral high ground and the church is lagging behind. And we saw that with polygamy, we saw it with blacks in the priesthood. If you yet to come.
Yeah. So, full, complete disclosure on this. So I said my mom is Mormon, but she left the church when I was like 5, and then officially resigned 8 years ago. But like literally, when I went through the temple to get married, I left my entire family outside because that's what you did, right? So I say that to preface, as I've been involved with ordained women, my mother has said for 20 years she doesn't understand how I haven't been kicked out of the church, right? Because I've always been very vocal, very feminist. I once said balls when I was conducting a Relief Society.
That would have been worth going.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
That's how we became friends.
Yeah, that's how we became friends. Because I said balls at church, and she was like, that's my friend. So I say that because my mother has always said, like, it's going to take 50 years. She has said, you have like this entire, it's not just the hierarchy, but everybody below them, filtering all the way down to local leadership who have grown up and been groomed in this religion. And I used to say, no. Like, they have the best intentions. I understand that they're afraid of us, that they don't understand what we're talking, that we're challenging their worldview, but I believe that they have the best intentions. I believe that they will sincerely pray. I believe that they will get the answer that they're supposed to get. I like to still believe that. And if I still believe that, I would have given you like a date 10 years from now, right? Like, I sincerely believed my daughters would not have to wage this fight if they had chosen to stay in the church, the Mormon church. Looking at the Catholic Women's Ordination Conference and the Women of the Wall who've been fighting for how long? 30 years to be able to pray out loud at the Western Wall. We're probably looking a lot farther than that. The other question is, revelation in the church related to social justice action has largely followed, as you pointed out, political and institutional change in the community around them. Sexism is still institutionally, we don't have an equal rights amendment. We don't have paid family medical leave for families because women don't need it, and so men shouldn't want it, right? Sexism hurts everyone. So I'm not really sure. I think it's probably farther away than I would like, and my church leaders never fail to disappoint me when it comes to their treatment of women, their treatment of people of color, their treatment of LGBTQIA people. They never fail to literally shock me with their inability to empathize and make the right choice. So I don't have an answer to that question, but it's really depressing. I hope your question was less depressing.
It's a couple questions. So you're still active at LDS?
No.
You're not?
My church, it was almost a year ago when the new policy came out. I went to the policy, the exclusion policy. I went to my bishop and asked to speak with him about it, and he made it very clear, told me very specifically that I didn't need to come back.
Really?
That I shouldn't worry about it, because he believed it was right, and that if I was going to ask questions about it, I didn't need to come back. And just to make you guys all feel really bad for me, I've been in the same building for 18 years. I've lived in the same house for almost 19 years. I've gone to the same ward for 18 years. And he talked to me for 4 minutes and walked me out the door while I was still crying.
Do you believe that the basic truth comes to the LDS Church?
I believe in the experiences I had when investigating that faith. I need the structure or the paperwork to experience the things I experienced before and still do. So that's like a really nice way to not answer your question. I maintain firmly that I could walk into any testimony meeting and blow the roof off of the place. And that people wouldn't know any better to be afraid of me, except that I'd be wearing pants. But I don't say things like, I know this church is true, and I don't say things like, I know these things exist, or that I don't sing Follow the Prophets.
But you want to go back. If they were to accept, if they were to change, you want to go back.
I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know if I would want to go back. Like I said, I used to be the ward's feminist, and they thought it was really funny, but I was their feminist because I didn't really do anything like publicly to push, right? I just said things like balls and Relief Society, and they're like, she's so funny. And once I did anything that they felt was out of line, right? Once I publicly declared, no, this is the thing I want, every community connection was severed almost immediately. And I was not allowed to participate in the community anymore. So I'm not sure that I have any desire to participate in the community, but I sure as hell want my daughters to grow up in a state where the dominant religion sees them as equally valuable and capable, and they don't right now. And that influences everything else. Whether you are Mormon, have never been Mormon, whether you're just passing through, it influences everything. And that's why I keep fighting. But they don't want me, so I'm not interested in forcing myself on them. I save that for other places. I have 1 minute. So
Last question.
Hi.
Okay, so as a person who has 4 daughters, sort of growing up in this nation where we have elected a pussy grabber,
Right? Oh my gosh!
watch that and have that media coverage in their face all the time. How do we reassure them, lift them up, and empower them, and make them understand that it's maybe not as prevalent as or that there is hope that it will become less prevalent, and that we can make changes and that we can move forward as a nation.
Did everybody hear that question? So it's like, how do we raise women, girls, in a country where for the next 4 years, someone who literally said he grabs pussy. You guys, I teach a media and politics class at Utah State. I had to say pussy like 12 times in a class. A word I never thought I would say in class. And it just kept coming out. I was like, how is this happening? Anyway, so for me, I had to wake my daughter up. My daughter, my 11-year-old, was like, she's my Hufflepuff. I did not think she would get this part of me, but she is like super politically active and was like, wore her I'm with her shirt to school on Tuesday, and was like, she sat next to me and we made phone calls for Hillary, like we were in it, and she was ready, and she went to bed devastated on Tuesday night, and I had to wake her up on Wednesday morning and tell her what had happened, and the first thing she said was, well, what are we gonna do? And so I think the best thing to do for your daughters is, one, make sure that they're consuming media that has a healthy message. Get them Mighty Thor. Get them Silk. Is an excellent comic book with a female character who's not drawn ridiculously, and she is Korean American, and she's amazing. I love her. Get her Ms. Marvel. Let them see that they can be the hero in other places, and then they will kind of start seeing it in themselves. And then be aware of the women in the world who are making a difference, right? Show them speeches when Elizabeth Warren goes bananas. Kamala Harris from California. Let her watch Eleanor Holmes Norton just go bananas on the floor of the House, right, on behalf of women of color. And let them hear directly from these women. And then challenge them to think of themselves as leaders, okay? Encourage them to run for office at school, right? It's scary, it's very scary. But tell them to run to be the class president, or tell them to agree to be the hall monitor, because hall monitors play an important role and they need to learn how to tell people to knock crap off, right? So encourage them to do those things and don't diminish the things that they love. I hate that we make fun of pumpkin spice because it's something girls like. Bacon is fine. We can all love that bacon is the thing that everybody goes crazy over because it's manly. pumpkin spice we make fun of because it's feminine. If they like ballet, if they like princesses, help them find princesses, help them find powerful messages there. Treat their texts as sacred and find ways to empower them. But my gosh, also, go volunteer at places and make them be Girl Scouts, you guys. I cannot tell you enough. Girl Scouts forever for young women, right?